G'day guys, just back with another video for you. This one's just a very basic build that I'm doing for one of my friends. Basically it's a reasonably high level gaming rig. The majority of it is, like I said, solely going to be used for gaming. So I thought I'd quickly run through the components that we'll be using for this build. That way you can get an idea of what it's going to entail and how it's going to come together. There'll be 3 videos, I think, for this, just progressing through the build as we go through it. So I'll quickly give you a rundown at the moment of the components I'll be using. So the case we're using is a Corsair 650D, and we'll be using a Z77X D3H Gigabyte motherboard with an i5-3530K CPU. We really wanted to give it a bit of beef in terms of GPU power. Wanted to run all the latest games, etc. On a 1080p monitor, single monitor. So we got a good deal with the EVGA GeForce GTX 670 graphics card. We're also going to use the Corsair Dominator Platinum 8GB kit, which is running at 1600 megahertz, but we will overclock the CPU and the RAM and maybe the GPU as well, depending on how it goes. We'll be using Intel 330 120GB SSD for the operating system and a couple of games, and there's a 1TB Western Digital Black for storage. The power supply we'll use is an AX750, and we'll keep the CPU nice and cool with a H100. At the time I did this, the H100Is hadn't come out, otherwise we probably would have used a H100i. But the H100 is still an excellent cooler for enclosed loops, I suppose. So they're pretty good if you're not going to go the custom water cooling loop. For the fans, I'm not using the stock fans in the case or on the H100. We're using Corsair SP120 Performance Edition fans for the H100 and an AF120 for the rear exhaust. The only fan we're leaving in the case is the front 200mm Corsair fan. Just budgetary constrictions. We couldn't really afford to get another fan for the front, so. Also using the white braided cables that Corsair provide for the AX series power supplies, and we're also using an NZXT white LED strip for the internal lighting as well. So it's definitely going to have a bit of a white and black themed build with some blue highlights on the motherboard, but you'll see a bit more of that when we start the build. So the next video should have most of the components fitted, and it gives you an idea of how it's going to come together in the end. So stay tuned. G'day guys, just another quick video for you on the build update. Basically most of the hardware is now in, the power supply has been fitted to the bottom, motherboard is in, CPU is in, the H100 has been fitted, the RAM is also installed, and so are the hard drive and SSDs. I've also put the AF120 and the SP120s installed in the top and the rear exhaust, so that's all ready to go and attached to the H100. So I'll quickly whip you off the tripod and bring you in for a bit of a look at where I'm up to. Okay. So you can see in there the Dominator RAM, and the H100 does look pretty good. I like the white rings that I've used on the SP120s and the AF120 as well. I think they're going to go really nice with the white LEDs and the white H100 lights. So I'm hoping that comes together pretty nicely. So yeah, it's not looking too bad at the moment, I think. But I just really want to quickly show you a couple of things around the back of the H100. Of the Corsair 650D. And optical's been installed in the front drive bay, but it might be a bit hard to pick up here on the camera, but that CPU cutout is really awesome. I installed the motherboard first and then thought, oh crap, I'm going to have to remove it to fit the H100 backplate on there, but yeah, you can see clearly the size of that cutout is perfect. So it gives you more than enough room to get in there and do some work if you need to change heat sinks or any of the back plates, etc. So that worked really nicely. You can also see the massive amount of cables that come from the front I/O panel for this case, because there's a fan controller, USB, Firewire, etc., a few other things. It does get quite messy, and that's going to be a bit of a mission to get that looking all neat and tidy, but I'm sure we'll get there. Also, just one other thing, the 650D does not come with a USB 3.0 header for your motherboard. It comes with these, the actual old connectors that are meant to come through the back of the case and into the back of your motherboard, which looks really ugly in my opinion. So I've got a Bitfenix USB 3.0 header to front USB converter, so that should make that cabling a little bit easier. But yeah. So yeah, just a bit of an update on this part of the build. So hopefully I'll be back shortly with the cabling all done and maybe even the first boot, so we'll see how we go. But yeah, I'm thinking that's starting to look pretty nice, so yeah. Okay guys, so the build's pretty much done now. The cabling's in there, the graphics card's in, everything's sort of hooked up at the back, all the front I/O panels connected up, Blu-ray drive's connected in, so it's pretty much ready to boot now, hopefully. So I just thought I'd give you this quick update before I do boot. There's a couple of things that I was a little bit disappointed with so far, and I'm still not sure exactly what I may change it, but basically the motherboard does not have a USB 3.0 header at the bottom where your power reset switches, etc., USB connectors are. So I've had to use, they have got one on this board, but it's right up next to the 24 pin power supply. So I've had to use the Bitfenix extender cables, converter, sorry, in a different spot than I was expecting to have to use it. So it's not really come out quite how I wanted it, but I'll whip you off and show you up close. Okay, so normally there's a USB 3.0 port down the bottom, or a header down the bottom for the front panel. In this board there isn't one, which I hadn't realized before. So the actual USB 3.0 is right there next to the 24 pin. So what I've had to do is try and hide that cable for the converter behind the 24 pin cable, and it's sort of worked. I know it's there and it does stand out to me. You may not notice it quite as much, but I was hoping to hide that cable completely, but instead I've had to run it up the side of that motherboard and into the back grommet there. So a little bit unfortunate, I think, not how I wanted it to turn out. But having said that, you can't see it too much, so hopefully hopefully it doesn't stand out too much. But so yeah, that's the finished build with the cabling done, etc. Let me know what you think about that, and I will get back to booting it up very shortly. I really do think that the lighting from the CPU cooler and the RAM is going to look quite nice in there when it's all powered up. So I'll be back shortly and I will show you the first boot.